This is a CLNS Media Patriots Roundtable. Once again, I am your host, Nick Qualia, sitting with Marv Zahn and Mike Molyneux. All right, guys. So, the NFL right now loaded with pretenders and contenders. Loaded with them. So, we're halfway through the season, officially halfway through the season. There are some teams that you look at with good records, and you're like, I don't really know if this team is that good. But then you look at teams with good records, and you can actually see them making a deep playoff run. So, guys, pick one pretender, one contender. Who are they? Mike, we will start with you.
Pretenders and contenders. I'm definitely looking at the Los Angeles Chargers as a definite contender in the AFC. This team doesn't get talked about enough between the way Melvin Gordon is running the ball. Keenan Allen is playing, great football. I really feel like they have some weapons over there. There's a lot of other guys that have stepped up that don't really get talked about, and their defense has been solid. This is a team that right below the Patriots, right below the Steelers, they're right there in terms of a team. And this is finally the year that they can probably make a splash in the playoffs. I think they can have a deep run. Obviously, it remains to be seen if can they really match up to the test of going up against the Patriots or the Chiefs. Who knows? But I definitely have the Chargers as contenders. Pretenders, though, Washington Redskins. As great as they are, I think they're at the top of their division with a 5-3 record. Alex Smith, I don't trust him. Never have, never will. I don't feel that Adrian Peterson will be a guy that they can really rely upon moving forward. I definitely
You don't trust AP? I think AP is back. I think he's full form back.
He's not the same that he once was back in his Viking days, but I mean he's playing solid for his
looking pretty good
at his age. But I do feel like when push comes to shove and they get into a big game, a matchup, if they make it to the division round or whatnot, if they get a Rams team or a Saints team, whatever the case may be, I feel like Alex Smith will completely collapse because he's just not built for that. So in my opinion, I have the Redskins as pretenders.
Marv, I need one contender, one pretender.
One contender definitely has got to be the Carolina Panthers. This is another team, like Mike mentioned, under the radar. Panthers are balling. Cam Newton under
the radar. Very under the radar.
Very sneaky. North Turner has really switched things up for Cam Newton. He's throwing less interceptions. He's not turning the ball over. Christian McCaffrey, we got to start talking about this guy as a lead back. One of the top backs in the NFL. When we had that Sony Michel conversation, we forgot to mention McCaffrey over him. This guy is doing incredible things, hurdling over guys. He's doing it in the running game now as well. Before we knew how he can catch on the backfield, but now he's doing in the running game. And they got two receivers in DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel that they're utilizing now in the offense with gadget plays, sweeps, deep routes, and it's starting to really, confuse a lot of defenses. I really love Carolina Panthers offense. And then on the defensive end, once they brought in Eric Reed, he's really switched things up there, adding him in blitz packages. I really like Carolina Panthers, and they haven't faced the Saints yet. That's what I really want to see. They faced the Saints twice later on to this year. I want to see how they play against them. But I have Panthers as a contender, but also pretender on the other side. This may be a little shocking to people, but I got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Little like what Mike said about the Chargers. I think the Chargers are better than the Steelers. One, and I can't see the Steelers I don't see the Steelers at the level of the Patriots and the Chiefs. They're great offensive team. We know about AB. We've seen Connor really ball out. Juju is an amazing receiver. Big Ben has been playing all right, but this team is second in penalties, and they've only played 8 games out of 9 games. And so if they played all 9 games, they'll be leading in penalties right now. They keep making key mistakes. They're undisciplined. I don't know what's going to happen when Le'Veon comes back. I just feel like they're like Stephen A says about the Cowboys, I'm going to say about the Steelers. They're an accident waiting to happen. I just don't trust this team at all going into the playoffs. I don't see them getting past the wild card.
Yeah, quick note on Le'Veon Bell, too. I mean, once he does come back and once he starts playing, because he has to come back. If he wants to become an unrestricted free agent, he has to come back by week 11. But when he comes back, how much better is he going to make the Steelers? James Conner, as of right now, has better numbers than Le'Veon Bell did last year at this time. How much better can another running back make you? He really can't. What are you going to do? Hand the ball off 2 times at the same time? No, you can't. You're going to have to go with the better running back, and whoever you give it to, they're 2 damn good running backs.
Right.
But how much better can you make that team?
With those 2 running backs too, they're 2 running backs that need volume. It's not that you can have, okay, this is going to be the first and second down back, and you'll bring one in for the third down back. No, these guys need volume. They're all-purpose running backs. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
All right, I'll go with my pretender first. My pretender, also in the same division, the Cincinnati Bengals. And quite simply on the fact, I don't trust them at all. They're the most undisciplined team in football history, not just this season, just the franchise in general. I can't trust Andy Dalton. And I just feel like they're fake. I just feel like they're a fake team. I just don't think that they are going to be able to go into the postseason and finally get over that hump and win a postseason game, kind of like David Price. I just don't think they can do it. And the teams that they've beaten so far, and I'm clearly reading off notes here before anybody makes a comment about that in the comments, but the teams they've played so far and beaten, it's not like they're good teams. They've beaten the Colts, they've beaten the Dolphins, and then they lose to their good competition, including the team that Marv thinks is a complete pretender in the Steelers. So they've lost to the Steelers, they've lost to the Chiefs, which you would expect, but then they also lost to the Panthers too. They don't play up. If you're going to be a good playoff team, you have to play up to your competition, not down to your competition. And I'll give them that. They beat the bad teams, which is what you have to do. But you also have to beat the good teams, and you have to make it competitive, which they do partially. But again, give me a Panthers game with the Bengals. I'm not going to pick the Bengals over the Panthers. I just don't trust them. I don't think that they're a good enough team. I don't think they can win anything in the playoffs. And again, the discipline factor. You have to be disciplined if you're going to win football games, especially in the postseason. And I mean, we know the story with the Bengals. They're just not. They can't stop getting unsportsmanlike penalties. My contender, the Houston Texans. Beginning of the season, the Houston Texans did not look like they were going to be a good football team. Deshaun Watson was not playing well, but he's the absolute, I know this is going to sound, like it's what you expect, but Deshaun Watson is a pivotal factor on that team. If he's playing well, then the Houston Texans are going to be a good football team. We remember him last year when he stepped up, he was excellent. That team was rolling, but then he went down. They're a completely different team. Now Deshaun Watson has DeAndre Hopkins, clear, obvious target. They also added Demaryius Thomas, who got into the game very well against the Denver Broncos yesterday, and he was excellent. He was making his catches, he was running his routes, and Deshaun Watson was finding him wide open. I actually think they're a good team. Their defense isn't as good as in years past, but they're 7th overall. They're definitely serviceable. I think they're definitely a contender. I don't see them beating the top teams in the AFC, as in the Patriots and as in the Chiefs. But I definitely think they could go relatively deep in the postseason. I just
quick question about your pretenders in the Cincinnati Bengals. Does that include that you probably feel like this is Marvin Jones' last season as head coach?
I don't know how he's still. It's like Hugh Jackson. How is this guy still coaching this team?
Marvin Lewis.
I'm sorry, Marvin Lewis. I don't know. Same thing with Hugh Jackson. I don't know how Marvin Lewis still has a job as a head coach in the NFL.
And because of that, I think like they're having a winning season, and unless they completely fold and lose out on the rest of the year, I think he gets his job back. I just don't. If he hasn't lost his job at this point, I don't see how he would lose his job. That's just how it rolls. I mean, I said the same thing about Hugh Jackson, but hey, well, you see, he won a couple of games this year, and
Marvin Lewis needs to hold a seminar and show us how to do it. To be mediocre and to keep your job, smiling, living good, I need to know.
Please.
He needs to hold a seminar.
I will be in the first row.